everybody, Dirili here. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Hakuoki Kyoto Wins along Hachiro Iba's route. We're fighting against Kazuma and his cohorts, and it looks like Iba's silhouette here has just shown up to help us out. You can just sit back, relax, and let me read you a story. I heard a sword unsheathed from its scabbard, and someone stood in front to shield me. This person is...
I don't know what you guys are talking about, but she's an ordinary girl. She always has been.
Ain't nothing ordinary about me, buddy. His brave words were directed at Kazuma, but his eyes glanced to mine reassuringly.
Are you alright? I'm so glad I made it.
Iba! Despite him standing before me, I was in complete disbelief that he was here. What are you doing here?
Probably the same thing we're doing. Same job. I was guarding the Nijo castle to guard Iemochi as well. I'm an Okuzume, you know.
Yep, his job. Come to think of it, it made a lot of sense that Iba and Okuzume would be here for the shogunate. You should have anticipated that, in fact. Kazuma flashed a hot white glare of contempt where the blade pointed to his neck. His penetrating gaze burrowed into Iba. I'm pretty sure he's unfazed.
Who the hell are you? Do you plan on getting in my way?
Iba was unshaken, and his resolve looked unbreakable as he stared back at Kazuma.
Perhaps I should be, depending on how you treat me. I have no business with you. If you're another shogunate bitch, then why don't you wag your tail back to the castle? I can't do that. If you're trying to take her against her will, then I must stop you.
You could hear a pin drop in the silence of their sustained staring contest. Eventually, Kazuma turned toward Amagiri and barked commands at him. Well, Iba just lost the staring contest because he has a blinking animation here and Kazuma doesn't. Sorry, I just had to point that out.
I am too skilled to waste my time with this crap. Amagiri, I have a new toy for you to play with.
Amagiri shrugged, then sighed, stepping forward.
Well, if you can handle it, Kazuma, you'll kill him. Shiranui isn't the type of person who knows how to hold back against weaklings too.
Geez, you're just gonna assume already, huh?
Then that means I have no choice but to take you on myself.
'Cause he's the only one with restraint? Amagiri assumed a fighting stance, and an aura of rage began emanating from him. Really, I would think he would just always be calm. He just always seems calm, which is one of the really cool things about him. The hairs on my body stood immediately. It felt as if I was suddenly plopped before some creature, its fangs ready to sink into me. It's said that the talented swordsmen, when crossing paths, can estimate one another's power by looking into each other's eyes without even drawing swords. Oh yeah, I've seen quite a few really gorgeous renditions of that in film as well. Iba! My throat was dry from nervousness and worry, but I screamed his name as loudly as I could.
Chizuru, stay back, you might get hurt.
But...
I said, stay back.
He raised his voice, repeating himself, and I retreated slowly behind him. I didn't think there was a chance Iba could lose, but I reached for my kodachi just in case. Iba regripped his sword and faced Amagiri. The tension seemed impenetrable. Then suddenly, Amagiri dropped his guard briefly, attempting to predict Iba's movements. Iba didn't miss that opportunity. It was a trap! He swiftly thrust the tip of his blade towards Amagiri, but it was dodged immediately. Iba's eyes widened, and mine did too. Amagiri possessed superhuman speed, and my human eyes couldn't follow him. I don't have human eyes. But Iba did not yield. Iba's swordsmanship was masterful, almost superhuman as well, and he was able to corner Amagiri. He moved like a flowing river. His economy of motion was natural and in total control. It's so awe-inspiring that I forget I'm watching a battle, not a performance.
I see. Guess you didn't get the title of Okuzumi for no reason.
And not solely on nepotism either.
I think there's only a few demons that could keep up with your skill. I commend you for your strength.
The compliments from Amagiri came as a surprise to Iba and Kazuma as well, whose eyebrows furrowed deeply at this display.
You're talking too much, Amagiri.
A true battle between two highly skilled warriors left no room for a moment of reprieve. If one side were to become distracted, if even for a second, it could cost them their life.
You're mine!
Iba exclaimed loudly as he swung his blade with an extreme amount of force. He had it in the bag. Or so I thought.
Gah!
He must have never anticipated in his entire life that someone could catch his sword with bare hands. I don't think most people would. Iba's expression was incredulous, and he gritted his teeth with frustration. Amagiri's eyes thinned before he spoke softly.
You seem to aim only for my arms and feet. Does that suggest that you're incapable of defeating someone who fights with their body? I take it you've never taken a life before.
Iba stared silently, offering no response. It seemed as though Amagiri's suggestion was not untrue, and Iba seemed bitter that his intentions were read in such a short amount of time. Amagiri closed his eyes and shook his head, gesturing that he had no further intention of continuing their fight.
If it's not a fight to the death, it's not a fight worth fighting? Oh, foolish. This is probably just some trick the Shogun's dog learned to kiss the Shogun's ass. What value is there in a sword that cannot kill people? Hey, come on, man. What the hell are you playing around for?
Shiranui grew impatient, and he pulled out his handgun in irritation. And he looks so hot when he does that. The cold steel shined, and the barrel was pointed toward Amagiri and Iba. No! Oh, I guess I put myself in harm's way. Before I knew it, I was running towards Shiranui, and, in a fit of confusion, I acted instinctively. I reached both arms, palms out, toward the gun that was pointed. In that moment, I heard a gunshot fire off, and it rang so heavily in my head that it felt like my skull was slammed against the ground.
Chizuru!
After Iba screamed, there was a prolonged period of silence. Maybe I stumbled across Nirvana. As I attempted to recollect myself, I opened my eyes slightly.
Ugh, what the hell are you doing? Are you planning on having me kill a rare female demon?
I guess Shiranui moved away at the last second, but then he took aim once more with his gun. His bullet shot through both of my hands. In the palms of my hands, crimson dripped through new holes that formed like a red spider lily.
Chizuru, are you alright?
Yes, I'm alright. I tried my best to play off the intense pain, forcing a strained smile through my teeth. Iba, however, looked like he was in even more pain than when he was hit.
Damn it, Shiranui. What the hell were you thinking? Why would you attempt to harm the entire reason we're here? Hey, it's not my fault. She's the one who jumped in the fray from out of nowhere. I mean, if we keep wasting our time here, then more humans are gonna gather. And it's gonna be a big pain in the ass to deal with. You make a compelling point. Guess there's no reason to dirty my sword with human blood.
Kazuma then unsheathed his katana, its bright blinding sheen disorienting me. Once again, Shiranui pointed his gun toward Iba. Amagiri quietly moved into his fighting stance. Ah, look at these three. Although he tried his best to keep the posterity of his stance, Iba was looking shaken, and he was sweating from the battle. He was having trouble when it was one-on-one, but now there's three of them to deal with. Where's the rest of the Shinsengumi? Where'd everybody go? Iba gripped his sword with bloody fingers, and he slowly inched backwards. All of a sudden...
Hey, you bastards! Where the hell do you think you are?
I heard a familiar voice in the darkness. About time, guys.
Ugh. Who would have ever thought I'd see you bastards here? Amagiri, was it? You're a known affiliate of the Satsuma domain. What are you doing here? Hey, Chizuru, your hand is bleeding. Did these weak jerks do this to you?
Oh.
Hachiro, take care of her wounds right now. Yes, I know. Chizuru, come this way.
I'm fine. This is nothing. Wrap them up before anybody sees them heal. Kazuma stared angrily in our direction as the Shinsengumi men arrived.
Who the hell are you guys? Pay us no attention. Don't you all have some shogun and vassal asses to kiss? It's the perfect chance to spread the word on how crap you are. We can't let you go like that. Just like at the Ikeda Inn and the Hamaguri Rebellion. Every time something shady happens, you three always turn up. There's that saying, how you gotta nip it in the bud if the plant starts to rot.
Hijikata smiled wryly, pointing his sword toward Kazuma.
You're all just attention-seeking whores.
Kazuma was about to put Hijikata to the test.
Kazuma, we've accomplished what we set out to do here. We demons act in the shadows of history, and we mustn't reveal ourselves too much at risk of jeopardizing our secrecy.
Kazuma briefly glared at Amagiri for discouraging him, but eventually his red eyes returned to me.
Girl, you carry the Yukimura name. Don't ever forget what we told you. I will eventually come for you. Just you look forward to that moment.
I will, in another route.
Wait, you bastards!
Hijikata attempted to chase after Kazuma and his cronies. However, they disappeared as if they melted into the darkness.
They can't have gone too far. Everyone search the surroundings. Understood. I know. Hachiro, you take care of her.
Iba nodded to Harada, and the other men ran after Kazuma, disappearing into the night. Silence returned, and all we could hear were the cries of insects and water in the canal.
Chizuru, let's treat your wound. Please show me your injuries.
I'd rather not. Iba was very gentle in approaching me, but... I just couldn't show him my scars. There's no way I could let him see. This wound, where a bullet just pierced. An injury, one so serious it shattered bones that had already healed. I can't let anyone know about my body. When I was a little girl, I remembered that I had made a vow with someone. However...
Chizuru?
Iba's tone grew increasingly concerned. Hide my hands. I kinda wanted to show him my hands, but nope, for this we can't. No, I can't afford for Iba to find out about my body. Seems like my injuries were lighter than I thought. I can tend to it myself, so please don't worry about me. I spoke hurriedly, but Iba just stared back at me. He wore a very stern expression, and there was a pause before he spoke again softly.
Is there a reason you don't want to show me your hands?
Well... His probing questions put me on the spot, and for a moment I felt like it was difficult to speak. He likes me being shy.
Show them to me. If there are scars left on a girl that I was entrusted to protect, then it taints my name as a warrior.
I contemplated. I gave up and showed both of my bloodied hands to Iba. He softly grabbed my hands and slowly, gently wiped my wounds with his handkerchief. After wiping the dried blood, his hand suddenly stopped. I wouldn't blame him. The bullet wounds that were supposed to be on my hands had completely vanished. His eyes thinned, scanning me with a conspicuous gaze. Then he looked directly into my eyes.
Chizuru, are you...
You see... I tried to play it off, but nothing reasonable came to mind. I closed my eyes and hung my head. I know, this isn't ordinary, huh? No matter how many times I got injured, my scars always healed immediately. I wonder when it was that I noticed that I wasn't normal.
Do your injuries heal quickly? Too quickly, perhaps? Do you heal from injuries faster than any human could?
Earlier, Amagiri had noticed that my body could do unnatural things. They all thought I was one of them, but who were they? If their words were true, then I must be... Suddenly, Iba put his hands on my shoulders. It startled me, so I gasped slightly, but he stood there with a warm, kind smile.
You're fine. You're an ordinary girl.
It was as if he could read my mind. But why?
Just a feeling. You've always been quite honest, and there's nothing out of the ordinary with you. I've known for quite some time.
He tightened the grip of his hands on my shoulders a little more. His soft voice tingled my ears. It felt nostalgic.
The promise you made with me back then, you've been keeping it all this time.
Huh? I responded a little surprised, but Iba quietly opened up before me. Oh, finally we get it.
Do you not remember? You and I would hold hands walking together as we went to get snacks.
Aw, how cute!
We tried reading Koto's Western books, but we couldn't figure it out and were stumped.
Oh. The memories, ever so slowly fading through the years, started trickling in, gradually gaining color as Iba began to describe them to me. Ah, yes, that's right. When I was a child, there was an older boy that occasionally visited my father in order to read his books. He was a quiet fellow, always studiously reading. It was impossible to imagine that the boy would become a talented swordsman whose duty is to guard the shogunate. That was really you? I still couldn't believe it, and he smiled shyly to me.
Yes, that is when you told me of your secret. Even now, I vividly remember the promise you made to me.
His words made me gasp.
You can't let anyone know that your injuries heal quickly.
It wasn't my father who told me that. It was Iba. And there was another thing I remembered.
Do you remember the promise we made?
It was the promise he mentioned. All of a sudden, I was thrown back into a fresh plume of reverie. His name, the name I used to call him, came back to me. Hachiro? He squinted, as if the sun shined in his eyes.
That's right. I didn't think you'd ever forget. I remembered all this time.
Oh, that makes me so sad. I mean, you've gotten so tall, Hachiro. I don't remember you being this gallant.
Gallant? Me?
Oh, My cheeks felt hot. I could tell I was blushing beyond belief. I didn't mean anything by it. I was just speaking aloud. I only spoke what came to my head immediately, like an ordinary girl. Iba's enthusiasm dropped a little, and I glanced to the side for a moment.
Is that so? Well, that's no fun. I'd rather hear how you really feel about me. That would make me happy.
Maybe I shouldn't have tried to correct my own words and just left it as it is.
Yeah, you should have.
But it feels strange telling this to him in person. Iba sternly shifted the conversation, however.
The three of them earlier said you were one of them. Do you know what they were talking about?
I silently shook my head. That's the thing. I have no idea. Okay, if that scene is the way it's always been, then they said they were demons, and they told me I was a demon just like them.
Very intriguing. They seem quite fixated on you.
Yes, because I'm a rare female demon, as they said. What could those men know about me? That you're a rare female demon? They seem to know the history of my sword and of my name. Suddenly...
Hey, Hachiro, Yukimura, where are you guys?
Right where you left us. That voice.
Toshi and his men must have just returned. Let's revisit this conversation later.
When we met back with Hijikata, Iba recounted what just happened between us. But I guess in the end, Kazuma and his men disappeared, leaving no trace behind, and the men were unable to hunt them down. Another time. Since then, once the rest of the men returned, there was a meeting among the captains. The subject of that meeting was the three men. Oh, wait, can I skip? Sorry, alright, we can skip. And this time we had to say yes, please, so we get a new scene. Are you sure? Then yes, please do so.
Got it, please excuse me.
After a moment, Kondo turned around and faced me directly.
You see, Iba coordinated everything to ensure this meeting took place.
Oh, really? Iba's getting credit for all kinds of things in this route that other people did in other routes. Iba then appeared from behind the building, as if he was summoned.
Hello, Chizuru. I wish I was here to see you under different circumstances.
He led us back inside the compounds in order to discuss the situation with the Furies. Hijikata stood behind, listening with intent.
Kodo was performing experiments with a serum, which they referred to as the Water of Life, that turned some Shinsengumi men into Furies.
Furies? His descriptions matched the white-haired creatures I had seen on my first night in Kyoto. Dr. Matsumoto nodded, then turning to Iba, whose voice sounded oddly meek.
Originally, research on the Furies was strictly performed by the shogunate, who kept it secret. Only a select few with the Bakushin were aware of this, so I assumed this operation was one with top-class confidentiality, but we, Okuzume, were also notified about the experiments, just in case something terrible were to happen that required our aid.
Iba's expression turned sour as his sentence trailed off, as if he was reopening an old wound, and he turned his head to the side.
The Furies from the initial batch of testees were horrible, absolutely horrible. We lost a lot of good men, and not just men who became Furies, but men charged with stopping them. So, when I'd heard rumors that the Shinsengumi were performing similar experiments, I had to see for myself if they were to face the same fate.
Iba looked in Hijikata's direction, waiting for him to see if he had anything to contribute. Hijikata gave a heavy sigh.
Well, if you're as in the know as you seem, then it'd be pointless for us to keep hiding it, huh? It's true, we were ordered by the shogunate to research the serum and the Furies. As for the question of why, it's a long story best saved for another time, but...
No, I think now's the perfect time. That's what he's here for anyway.
The person responsible for bringing the serum to us was Kodo.
Kodo was doing research on Furies? When my father's name was dropped, Iba immediately turned to face me. I gave a small nod. Yes, I didn't know anything about it either until I came here looking for him. Iba's eyes widened, and they looked frantic as he faced Dr. Matsumoto, who merely nodded. Then Iba, who seemed unsatisfied that everyone else was lukewarm to the news, faced Kondo and Hijikata.
Kondo, Toshi, please be honest with me. What does the Shinsengumi plan to do with the Furies in the future?
Hijikata's brows furrowed. Then he paced back and forth, caught in a pause as he attempted to gather the right words.
What do you mean by plan to do? Our research is performed under the direct order of the shogunate. Quitting would be insubordination.
Kondo's face scrunched, and he kept silent, his eyes fixed on the floor in front of him. I assume this means Kondo shares the same feelings as Hijikata.
So, if your experiments carry on as usual, and an outbreak beyond your control occurs, what is your contingency plan? Are you prepared for this? I mean, you have people in your headquarters that are incapable of lifting a sword.
As he cut himself off, Iba glanced in my direction with a look of concern. Neither Kondo nor Hijikata answered, and they closed their eyes and crossed their arms in sync.
Look, if it's an issue of going against the orders from the shogunate, then perhaps I can work to convince some of the higher-ups personally. I agree with Iba. The Furies aren't something that your group can manage alone.
Dr. Matsumoto's tone was stern, but Kondo and Hijikata were staring at the floor. "'Cause I can't do anything about Sanin."
Toshi.
Iba became impatient.
Enough. I am aware of the risk we're taking with this research. Then... But its potential in the battlefield is too much to ignore. Besides...
He cut himself off. Even when he looked frustrated, the structure of his face was quite handsome. "Hey, you're on Iba's route, Chizuru."
If we were to quit our research now, then what becomes of those who will become Furies now? Well...
that look says it all. Iba couldn't come up with a solution on the spot, and he looked down with a sheepish expression. Then someone arrived and broke the silence.
Pardon my intrusion, but if you don't have an answer to that question, allow me to have a go.
"Sanin, are you feeling okay?"
Well, I'm in no shape to use a sword or anything like that, but I have enough strength to talk.
Sanin joined our circle, then he turned to face both Matsumoto and Iba.
If the water of life is deemed to be too dangerous for anyone to control, then I'm sure an order to exterminate the Furies would be made, which includes me in that tally. What?
Iba was shocked by Sanin's suggestion. He appeared out of breath, struggling to find words that were sympathetic to Sanin's position.
Sanin, why did you take the serum?
Sanin simply stared back at him, stoic as ever. I could have sworn I saw a brief flash of crimson in Sanin's eyes as he began to smile wryly.
Don't pity me, Iba. There's no need to worry. I'm actually quite happy that I became a Fury. What? Happy? Yes, when I injured my left arm, the warrior in me died. However, thanks to the water of life, he has been resurrected. If you were in my position, losing your arm, being unable to help your comrades fight in battle, being useless, I'm sure you can imagine my pain.
It seemed as though Iba was unable to prove any of the Shinsengumi men wrong, and he was silent. He'd known Kondo, Hijikata, and the others from back in their Edo days, which meant that he knew Sanin then as well. To hear that one of his old friends had become a Fury, I'm sure it caused him a great deal of pain, and he was confronted with a moral dilemma.
I appreciate the words of caution from you, and Dr. Matsumoto, and I feel bad about it and all, but putting a premature end to all of our research would be the same as forfeiting Sanen's life.
Yeah, that's our biggest concern.
If we can locate Kyoto, then we may be able to find a way to reverse the effects on Sanen and the other Furies, perhaps to become humans again.
Sanen smiled at Kondo, but it seemed to me that he was wary of any optimism as he winced at his mortality being mentioned in plain conversation. However, I want to make it clear that I never once said I wanted to become human again. The Shinsengumi were adamant about their reasons for continuing their research and experiments. This made it seem like an impossible task for either Dr. Matsumoto or Iba to convince them otherwise, as their stakes were close to the chest.
As a doctor, I am obligated to tell you otherwise. However, if the lives of your warriors like Sanen are at risk, then I submit to your discretion.
I suppose I have no choice but to find Kyoto as soon as possible.
For now, I shall devote energy to developing a medicine to help treat the serum's bad symptoms, although I'm sure it won't do much. I'm sure it would be more than we could ask for. We greatly appreciate the both of you for your help.
Although there were reservations about what's to come, the conversation settled kindly at least. Oh no, the tea became cold. I'll make a fresh pot right away. I stood up. I grabbed the tray with everyone's cups on it and went out into the hallway. You ingrates, you didn't drink any of— Oh, Takeda, what are you doing? Then I saw someone run off in a panicked state down the hall. I squinted to get a peek, and it looked like— I ran after them, tray in hand, to get a better look. Wait! I turned the corner and caught up to the hustling shadow. I knew it was him, and he stood there waiting. Were you luring me out here?
What is it you want from me? If you took the effort to follow me, then surely you must have something to say.
Well, I could almost feel the blood draining from my body as the pressure to answer overwhelmed me. I did my best to stay composed, and I stood up straight, ready to answer. Were you listening in on the conversation in Kondo's room from the hallway just now? Takeda snorted, deflecting the question, and he turned the question back on me.
So, is it a crime now for a captain of the Shinsengumi to walk by the chief's room?
Well, no, but— As I stumbled for words, Takeda seemed smug as if he'd stumped me.
I have nothing to hide, but perhaps you do because your conversations were rather sensitive,
What should I do? I should— Call for someone! I can't deal with this alone! Takeda is technically a captain of the Shinsengumi, and I had no way of knowing how much, if anything, he heard in that room. If I answered his questions by giving out information I wasn't entitled to give, then I would be in deep trouble. I have to brew some more tea, so if you'll please excuse me. I bowed, turning around to rush toward the kitchen.
Wait a minute.
Takeda snagged my shoulder with a tight grip. Get off me! Ow! Let go of me! I already told you I need to be somewhere.
So, you were telling me to make a run for it, huh? Well, I won't let you. We're not done here.
I closed my eyes tightly, and in my head I saw— Huh? Not Kondo nor Hijikata, for some reason. It was Iba instead. Help me, Iba! As I attempted to scream, Takeda covered my mouth with his coarse hand.
Don't scream. Who were you trying to call?
You're covering my mouth, I can't answer.
That man Iba, was it? Supposedly he's some big-shot okuzume for the shogun. Why is that man here? He'd better make sure he's not telling the chief or the commander things they don't need to hear.
I was struggling under Takeda's grasp, and even though my mouth was still covered, I could shake.
Things they don't need to hear, huh? Is there something you're keeping from them?
You came! He got my telepathic communication. Surprised, Takeda let go of my mouth.
You were taking an awfully long time to brew and pour tea, so I came out to check on you. You were Takeda, was it? Long time no see.
Even though Iba was smiling, his eyes were intently focused on Takeda. He looked guarded. Takeda seethed with contempt, biting his lips. Iba gently guided me behind him protectively, and he whispered to me.
You called my name earlier asking for help. Thank you. It made my day.
Oh, you actually heard me start to call your name, huh? Oh! Remembering that moment made my cheeks flare up. Why did I scream Iba's name instead of one of the other warriors?
We were exchanging confidential information that can only be heard by our warriors. You're an outsider. Stay out of this. Besides, what the hell are you doing here in our compounds? I was accompanying Dr. Matsumoto, and it was imperative that we discuss the health and conditions of your men. Huh, I don't know how much of that is true.
Takeda didn't appear to believe Iba for a second, but...
If there's something you'd like to say, you are more than welcome to ask me in front of Kondo. However, I too have something to tell Kondo.
Iba and Takeda exchanged heated glances for a few more moments. Then Takeda broke the stare, looking away in an irritable manner.
There is nothing I want to say to you. I'll be on my way then.
Takeda huffed and walked away. Good riddance. Thank you so much for helping me, Iba.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You know, you can count on me whenever there's a sniff of danger.
If only you could stay around and live with us.
Remember what I told you all these years ago, that I protect you no matter the circumstances.
Yes. The memory of that time, now far removed, was hazy, but... I remember Hachiro making his promise to me as his slender hands clasped mine together. Who would have thought that we'd find each other once again, now that we've matured? After all this time, he kept his promise. Aww, so cute. Then I heard some footsteps creep behind us. And we'll find out who those footsteps are from in the next episode. We finished that scene, so I think it's a good place to stop. Yeah, there's quite a bit of Iba action in that video. I guess we got quite a bit of common route material done between Sanin and Sakamoto already. I can't wait for more. Iba's really sweet. Well, hope to see you in that next episode or in some of my other videos. And I'd be so grateful for any likes, comments, subscriptions, or shares with your friends to show some support. Thank you so much for joining me, and I wish you all health, happiness, and safety. Dirili signing out. Bye-bye, everybody.